Warning, the following video includes spoilers.
Hello all. So I'm here today to review The Time Traveler's Wife. This recently just came out on DVD. And it's the complete series, which we'll get back to that in a bit. Inside are 2 discs. My case unfortunately got broke in the mail. So my first disc is just kind of floating in there. So you've got the first disc and then the second disc. This tells you here what all is on each disc. I binged the whole first disc, and I don't know why I forgot there was a second disc for a minute where I thought it ended. I was very angry. And then a couple days later, I went to get the TV ready to watch stuff. And I realized there was a whole nother disc in here. This TV show is featured around Claire and Henry. And it's basically the story of how Claire and Henry met, how they, fell in love, all of that. And it's really interesting the way it happens, because you see him, he basically gravitates to tragedies in his life, big events in his life, but his life definitely seems to center around Claire, and he is like drawn to her like a magnet through her whole life. And this is the story of that. And so I like that you could see them. They aged him, because you see him through many, many different ages. Even as a little boy, I think he's like 5 is the youngest that we see him. He might be 8. I'm pretty sure it's 5. But basically the show is very interesting, and I really like how they did it, and some of the storylines really made me cry, some made me laugh, and overall I was really into the show. Sadly, this show only got 1 season. I don't know why it was canceled, but HBO canceled it. And so this 1 season is all we'll ever get. The end of the series was basically current life. Claire and Henry had just gotten married. And in the week or so up until the wedding, he starts traveling more, and it's very quick flashes, and it's to the future, and the show definitely deals with some darker story matter towards the end. Claire wants to have a baby, or babies, and they try, and she gets pregnant, confirm a pregnancy, and then the baby would just disappear. And I guess it happened about 5 times, and without her consent, he gets a vasectomy. And she's very angry, because all she wants is children. It's hard on both sides because he is trying to. Seems a little weird considering Henry didn't exhibit it until he was older, that they would give this to the babies. But at the end, he's still bouncing to the future. She is now older than he is, and she basically seduces him and tells him to come see her whenever he does end up in the future. And I can see it in her face that the whole reason she wants that is because she's still trying to achieve a pregnancy, and now her current time husband can no longer give that to her. And I think she's also maybe thinking it'll be different if it happens with the younger version of him, which in my mind I think is kind of where they were pointing to. I did read in the book that they do have a daughter, so that's kind of in my belief as well, that that's kind of what they were hinting at, is that the younger him could do it but the older him could not. But I can't say if that's for sure exactly what they were going to lead up to, since the show was canceled and we'll never know. I have since started reading the book. I'm about 40% of the way through the book because I want to know the rest of the story, and I really hate this being such a cliffhanger because it ends with her telling him to come see her, and then that's where it ends. Older him was a dick for doing that without even talking to her about it. And there's just little things in the show I feel like conflict with each other. Now, I know there was a movie at one point in the past, like a long time ago. Well, I'm not sure what year it was, but I know it was more than 5 years. And I remember watching it, but honestly, I don't remember what it was about. So I might go back and watch it as well. There was just so many things that you see in the show that could actually happen, even with a show that had so much things that were impossible, that it really, I think, helped connect with the show because it wasn't so like outlandish that everything was completely impossible. It was just these two people getting to know each other in a weird order and falling in love. I really do wish that they continued the series. I'm gonna go with actors' names, but Theo James, I know he was in the Divergent series, and I really enjoyed him in that series as well. So it was really nice to see him in something. I don't think I've seen anything with him in it since Divergent. At least not anything that like sticks in my mind. And I really liked her in Game of Thrones. So there definitely seemed to be chemistry there. They definitely did really well in the casting. While I hate getting started on something that I'm never going to know how it ends, I really do recommend watching this just because what there is so good that I think it's worth it. I hope that if this does well enough that they might reconsider and continue or re-establish the show, or maybe even sell it off to another studio. And like I said, I'm sad that we get such a dead end ending. But you know, at least we have the book to go back to be able to find out maybe how it could have ended, because there are a lot of differences between the book and the show. I'm, like I said, 40% in. And there is several very important things that do happen differently, such as the wedding, not the wedding itself, but like leading up to the wedding, that happened differently. Their first date night happens completely different. Like in the show, when she finds his girlfriend's things, she gets really mad, she storms out. In the book, she's more like to herself, you know. She knows that Henry didn't know that she, you know, existed. He didn't know anything about her, so she couldn't expect him to wait for her because he didn't know. And she says, you know, he's hers now, and that's just it. There is no anyone else anymore. And she just moves on. Like, she moves right past it. And in the show, you know, like I said, she gets very angry because he didn't even mention her, and then immediately slept with her, like right after they met. So the show, I feel like, had more of a realistic reaction, because even if you know you're destined to be with that person, they still cheated on their girlfriend. And I feel like that would be a natural reaction, to get pissed off. So just there's differences between the books and the movie, so we can't guarantee that really gives us the same ending we would have ended up with. But at least it gives us something, somewhere to go off of, then versus nothing. What were your thoughts on the show? I'm really hoping that if you haven't watched it, you didn't watch this. Even though this is a spoiler warning, it doesn't mean people listen. But I really do enjoy this show. And I wish it had gotten at least a planned ending, not just a abrupt ending that it ended up with, because it didn't deserve that. But I 100% do recommend this. Let me know your thoughts, your impressions, and what you felt about the show and the topics that it covered. Did you like the way it covered them, or did you feel that some of it might have been disrespectful? You know, let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and I've got a few more reviews coming soon. See you guys in a bit. Bye!